You know what's annoying as hell? When you're studying for an exam and you decide you want to understand everything, and by the time the exam comes, you do. You go into the exam, you write down everything you know, you feel like you did well, and then you go talk to your friend. You ask how they did. They said they have no clue what was on the exam. They barely studied. But yet, when you get your results back, they beat you. That's because the school system is rigged. It doesn't always reflect your understanding, but your performance on that day, on that exam. Tests aren't just about how much you know anymore. It's about how you can take the exam. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to take tests the right way. The main issue here is silly mistakes. Imagine you're taking an exam and you're looking at that paper, right? You're going through the questions, you're doing the working out, and you get bored of working out. You get bored of the exam. You rush through the working out, maybe you skip a few steps. Your brain starts overlooking certain things. Even though you had 100% understanding on that exam, it simply wasn't enough because you couldn't enter flow during the exam. You couldn't focus. The issue here is that your attention span, like most of us, is absolutely messed up. To fix this, I recommend that before your exam, you lower the amount of devices you use, maybe consume less short form content, and do things that are more productive, especially a productive morning. A productive morning for the exam can set you up for the whole day. There is a lot more to it, and if you want to find out, we're gonna make a school community on increasing your attention span and your mental focus. If you're interested in that, comment below. Now, the second point in making silly mistakes is your stress. Imagine you're going into an exam at two separate times. In one exam, you know everything. When you go into that exam, you're sweating, your hands are shaking, you can barely even look at the paper, and your heart beats so fast. As you get close to the paper, you don't feel confident. You feel stressed, anxious. You can't get rid of that feeling. And so during your exam, your brain simply cannot focus. It's so caught up in all this stress and anxiety, you make silly mistakes. Now imagine you only understand like 90%, but you're confident. You know that you're gonna do well. And you sit down and you're in flow the entire exam. Now maybe you didn't know everything, but you were able to figure out things on your own simply because your brain was in the right state of mind. Decrease your stress before an exam. There's many ways to do this. There's breathing, there's meditation, visualization, mantras, all these things. But what I recommend is breathing. Because a lot of the time when you get stressed, it's because you start breathing irregularly. So keep your breathing in check before the exam and make sure that you stay positive. Now the third step is the conditions you're in. Let's go back to that exam. There are two versions of you taking that exam. One version slept 9 hours. The other, 4. I don't even need to tell you why that's important. You already know who's going to do better. And yet most of you still don't get the sleep because you're too busy cramming. But I guarantee you that extra 20% of knowledge is worth nothing compared to the focus your brain is losing when you go into that exam. The next is your diet. Now one of you has a high carb, high sugar diet, and the other, maybe he fasts or eats a couple fruits. Who do you think is going to do better? The one who's currently in brain fog, a sugar crash, and their blood sugar levels have increased? Or the one whose brain state is clear? Again, I don't even need to tell you. A lot of these things are common sense, but yet people still avoid it because they're too busy on the knowledge. So when you're going into your exam, make sure you're in the right state, that your body is in the right state before the exam. Because knowing the information isn't enough anymore. Now the final step is a bit stupid, but it's something that I go by. And I don't know if you're already doing this or not, but when I used to do my exams, I understood everything, like most of you would. But I kept making mistakes and getting 90% when I wanted 100. And that's because I just was making silly mistakes, as this whole video is about. But the thing that helped me the most was doing practice papers and assuming that every question I made a silly mistake. If you assume you made one, you'll look for it and find it. So in the practice exam, I would do it as fast and stupidly as I can. I would make sure I make silly mistakes, and I'd pinpoint what kind of mistakes those were. So in the exam, I'm prepared. If you want to learn how to actually enjoy studying, or at least do it when you hate studying, then watch this video here, because your understanding does matter too. Thank you for your time and use it wisely.